Namaste from Norway, guys. My name is Arvind and welcome back to our YouTube channel. So guys, in the last video, we discussed this confusion with you, that is whether you should send your child to an international school or Norwegian school. And this time again, we are here to help you with another confusion of our lives. And that is whether I should buy a house within the city or in the suburbs. So I will be sharing some of my experiences because I have a house in the suburbs. And at the end, I will give you some pointers that why a house in suburbs might be a good value for money for you. So please watch this video till the end. So guys, I have been living along with my family in the suburbs, which is around 70 kilometers from Oslo. And based upon this experience, I'm going to share some of the pointers with you. So the first point is the price. And this is not a rocket science, right? Because it's very simple thing that if the house is in Oslo, and if it is away from Oslo, the prices in the Oslo region will be much higher. So for our case, our house is around 109 meters square. If you have not seen the video of our house, you can see it here. If you are new to our channel, what I paid is around 3.5 million Norwegian kroners. And this house is has been built by a company called as Trisselhus. So the same kind of house, if we would have to buy the same kind of house in an area which was around Oslo, the price was 7.8 million back then, because we checked on fin.no, right? So the primary reason why we moved to Eidsvoll was because of the price, because we wanted a new house, and given our budget, we could afford this house. Okay, so that is the first pro. The second pro is that when you are living in an area which is away from the city, right? So getting admission to the barnehage, going to all of these basic amenities such as going to the doctor, like appointment to the doctor, or other kind of activities, right? Since the population is low in these areas, for example, in Eidsvoll community, the total population is around 20,000. On the other hand, in the Oslo, the population could be 4 or 5 times of that. So you have to compete for these places, and sometimes it might happen that your child might not get the nearest might not get a barnehage or a school in the nearest neighborhood, and that can be again a hassle for you. And this is again, some of our friends are living in the Oslo region, and they have told us this thing, that it can be a bit tricky sometimes to get the places for such amenities, right? And then the third pro is, but this is again, this is not a general thing, but it is very specific. So we are from, as you know, we are from Shimla, a small city. We have never lived in like big cities such as New Delhi or Mumbai, like for the long time. I was working for 5 years in Mumbai. That's a separate thing. But then we like to live in places which are not much crowded, and where you can have a place to breathe. So this is again, so what is your preference? Do you prefer to enjoy the luxuries of the city, or do you prefer the quietness and calmness that is found in the suburban area? So for us, the latter option was the most obvious one, and that is why we chose this the place, that is Eidsvoll, to live in. And then the fourth point is, which could be related to our previous video, that if you are living in a city, then the kind of crowd around you, that would be more international, there would be more expats, and hence the chances of your kid to go to an international school, if you want her or him to go to the international school, they are much higher in an region that is around Oslo, right? On the other hand, when you come to these areas which are in the suburbs, then you get more of the Norwegian community around you. So for example, where we are living in this housing society, I would say that out of 60 houses, 45 to 50, I would say they are like basically core Norwegians. So if you want to, so again, this is a personal preference. So this was not our idea. As I mentioned, our primary aim was to find a new house within the budget. After living for 3 years in such an area, we came to know, and this is how we can differentiate, because there are certain regions in and around Oslo where you can see that there are a lot of people, for example, India, Pakistan, they are living in that area, because when people go to barnehage, then you get the similar kind of crowd over there, right? So keep that in mind as well when you are making a decision to buy a house. So another point is again related to the population. Generally, if you're living in Oslo and during peak times, if you travel from point A to point B, the trains and the local transport, it is like jam-packed, right? On the other hand, since the population in these suburban areas is less, you can easily, it's way easier to commute from point A to point B. And don't forget that if you are driving a car within Oslo city, say morning 7 to 9, then again, reaching from one destination to another, it can take 45 to 50 minutes, right? If you have to travel 5 or 6 kilometers. On the other hand, in a region where we are living or other suburban areas, since the population is less, the traffic is less, and then the time that you kind of waste in commuting from point A to point B is less, right? But this can also be a con, that commuting, that I'll talk in a bit later. And generally, guys, don't quote me on this, but this is just a personal experience, that the crime rates are generally higher in Oslo region, I would say. On the other hand, where we are living or other suburban areas, the crime rates are much lower. So more trust in these suburban areas, because they are, you can say, we are the people from village. Since we are people from village, we have a strong knit community. We trust each other. Since we trust each other, there is low crime rate. So this is just a hypothesis that I'm giving to you. And then finally, the last point is again related to the first point, which I was saying, that is the value for your money in terms of the house that you'll buy. You'll see that in these suburban areas, that is the highest. So for example, if you want to buy a very good house, you know, like in Norway we call it enebolig, which is having good garden, everything, like 5-6 bedrooms. So you can find in our area you can find that house for about 7 to 8 millions. But in Oslo, I think the same would be for 14 million, I would say. Yeah, again, depending upon a lot of other factors. So these were some of the pros which we thought that it's better to live in a suburban areas. But now, since every coin is having the two sides, so what are the cons? First con, which most of the people have asked me, because they asked me, oh, you live in Eidsvoll, so how long does it take you to reach to Oslo? And for me, one side I take from door to door 57 minutes to be precise. But for few people say that, okay, it's not that bad, because if you are living in an area such as Sandvika, which is say 15, 16 or 20 kilometers from Oslo, then also it takes the same time, because if you're traveling by the bus during the peak hours. But on the other hand, I would like to say that whenever you have to choose the mode of commute, okay, in Norway, trains are the best mode of commute, because you can utilize that time. So speaking from my personal experience for the past 3 years, either I am reading some sort of a book in that, and since the seats are very comfortable, there are lights, it's AC, you know, and our stop is the second stop, so I generally get the seat. So this train drive or train commute for me is 36 minutes, and in this I would say that I have read about 3 to 4 very good novels. Either I'm reading some scientific papers, and if I'm tired, generally I sleep. So I have never ever considered this as a waste of time, because if I would have to travel in, for example, if I was living in Oslo area and if I travel by this trick, which is your tram, or if I travel by T-bane, which is metro, then you cannot have same kind of luxury which you have in these trains, right? So although it was a con, but I somehow made it a pro. So sorry for that. You can see how biased I am towards these suburban areas. But yes, commuting can be a problem for others. I like to commute, others don't like to commute, so that is why they prefer to live in smaller apartments which is near to their workplace, right? There are a lot of people who are doing that. So I'm not the wisest man on this earth. And one very important point, that is about the weather. In the winters, I would like to tell you that the weather in Eidsvoll is generally -3 to -4 degrees less than Oslo. And again, the reason is because in Oslo you have a lot of people living there, they have their houses, so the thermal energy or the heating of the houses, that raises up the temperature. On the other hand, here you have like big landscapes and very less houses, that is why the temperatures are lower. So another point is that if you are living in a suburban area and your house is not very near to the bus stop or the train station, then generally you are dependent upon your vehicle, and if you don't know driving, then this can also be a very, very big con, especially in the winters, right? Because generally in these regions around Oslo, you have much better connectivity of the public transport as compared to these areas which are much outside of the Oslo region. So that could be another con which you must consider while you are making a decision to buy a house. And then another point is this potential of isolation, which is again related to the point that since in these suburban areas you have less population, and since the population is less, the chances of interacting with these people also diminishes. And if you are a party animal, as I mentioned initially, and you really cherish variety, then you don't get that variety over here. And another point which I consider as a very big con over here is because in these suburban cities you generally have to rely on this public health system only. That is, you have to go to your GP or fastlege. On the other hand, in the Oslo region you will also find a lot of other private doctors such as Dr. Drop-in, etc, etc, right? So if you are sick and you don't want to wait in the lines, you can easily go to these private doctors or private hospitals. So that is also another benefit of living in a big city. Another point would be that there are very limited job opportunities in these suburban areas, right? Since there are less people, there are less shops. So if you are searching for some kind of job which is not technical, for example, then you will not find them in these suburban areas, because most of these big firms, big companies are located in Oslo, and that is why most of the people are commuting from here, from these suburban areas to these big cities. And so guys, so I would ask you that please recommend some of the topics about which you are confused, so that we can make a video and clear your confusion. So that's it for today. Hopefully you like this video. Please do like, share and subscribe. That's it. Namaste from Norway.